In this video, I'm going to tell you why you shouldn't do keto. If you want to control what you eat, control your body, and control your life, then hit the subscribe button so you never miss a video. In the last 10 years, keto has become immensely popular. I don't know if it's the name, I don't know if it's just because certain gurus are promoting it. Whatever it is, when people are trying to lose weight, their initial reaction is to go keto. I don't think most people know what keto actually means, and I'm not going to explain what it is in this video. I can explain in other videos, or you can go online and figure out what it is, but keto is basically just a fancy word for low carb. Keto definitely has some pros. It might benefit people who are in remission from cancer and they want to limit their carbohydrate intake. It does prevent certain chronic diseases pretty well compared to other diets. But for most people, keto diets are unnecessary, and in this video I'm going to tell you why you shouldn't do it. If you're considering the keto diet, then I highly recommend that you watch this video. The first reason is because it removes entire food groups. I am not a big fan of cutting out entire food groups, whether it's dairy, fruits and vegetables, meat, seafood, whatever it is. Unless you have an allergy to something, you shouldn't cut it out. Every food group has pros and cons. Every food group has essential nutrients that you need for a functioning body. When I became orthorexic when I was 21 years old, I cut out all dairy and all red meat, and I only ate small amounts of seafood. I basically went vegan, but I also denied myself the most important nutrient of all, calories. This had really negative effects. You could see it in my face, you could see it in my muscle mass, my testosterone collapsed, my health imploded. I was trying to get healthier, and in fact, I only made my health worse. These days I eat every food group. I eat a lot of grains, I eat some dairy, I eat red meat when it's available, I eat seafood. I don't deny myself anything unless I just don't like it. I don't like cheese, mayo, or cream, and I never will, but I do drink milk, yogurt, and I have the occasional indulgence of ice cream. If you don't like a food, then don't eat it. If you have an allergy to it, don't eat it. Otherwise, you should probably consume it even in small quantities. Keto eliminates most whole grains, fruits, and a lot of vegetables, and you're only left with cheese, bacon, and eggs. This is completely unnecessary and you don't need to do it. The second reason why you shouldn't do keto is because it's really inflexible. Think about it. If you remove all carbohydrates, you're spontaneously going to eat less. All the convenience food out there has some amount of carbohydrates because carbohydrates can keep at room temperature. You don't have to prepare everything. You don't have to cook everything. That's one reason you should eat carbohydrates. Think about it. Cereals, cereal bars, most drinks, pasta, rice, barley, all of the dishes you have. Most dishes at a restaurant have some sort of grain in it. Most comfort food has a grain in it. Most food at Thanksgiving and Christmas has some sort of starch in it. Starch is not inherently fattening. The only reason that you think it's fattening is because you combine it with a stick of butter and you attribute the weight gain to the carbohydrates. It's hard to eat out. It's hard to find convenient food. It's hard to eat on the run. Everything has to be It's hard to eat on the run. It's hard to eat anything that's not prepared. Your only option really is nuts and beef jerky, but even that has small amounts of carbohydrates in it. Any diet that cuts out baby carrots is a really stupid diet. The third reason is that you're probably not in ketosis. The only way to get into ketosis is to actually starve yourself or to go onto a long-term fast. If you're eating 50 or 60 carbohydrates a day, it would still take a while to get into full-blown ketosis. Your body has other ways of breaking down glycogen and using glucose in the blood to form glucose because your brain likes glucose. It doesn't like ketones, it likes glucose. Our brains and bodies are designed to run on glucose, not ketones. That explains why it's so damn difficult to get into ketosis anyway. If you think you're in ketosis, you're probably not. Unless you've been starving for 3 or 4 days, you're probably not in ketosis. You would have to eat a diet of pure fat for a long time to get into ketosis, or just deny yourself calories altogether. Neither option is recommended. The fourth reason is that consuming all of that fat is not very healthy for your pancreas or liver. Several studies and several case studies have shown that diets high in fat actually damage the pancreas and the liver, which is not good because those are two organs that you really need. The worst thing is excess calories in general, but you can consume excess fat and excess calories. In fact, it's really easy to consume excess fat because it's such a dense macronutrient. Fat has 9 calories per gram, whereas carbohydrates and protein are only about 4 grams, plus or minus 0.1, but let's just keep it easy. Protein can actually secrete insulin, which can take you out of ketosis. So not only are you denying yourself carbohydrates, you're denying yourself protein, and you're just eating a pure fat diet. If you're eating a diet of 60 or 70% fat, 30% has to be coming from protein and carbohydrates, which definitely means you're not in ketosis. Why would you want to eat a diet pure in fat? It's really hard to do, and most things aren't pure fat. Unless you want to eat tallow and lard by the spoonful, I don't recommend a 100% fat diet. The next reason is that eating a high-fat diet is really easy to overeat, and it's really easy to overconsume calories. When you add butter, cream, and cheese to everything, you automatically increase the density of it. And when you increase the density of what you eat, it's really easy to overeat, overconsume, and to blow your daily budget. This makes sense, that the denser your food is, the harder it is to eat within your limits, because every bite you take is denser. When you eat a diet that's lower in energy density, one that has a lot of fruits, vegetables, whole grains, lean meats, even dairy, it's harder to overeat because the food has less density. I'm not saying that you should eat a diet that's 100% broccoli and spinach. That would be really hard and would have some really nasty side effects. But when you add cream butter and cheese to everything, you're going to overconsume. It's really easy to blow your budget. The next reason is that you can still gain a ton of weight on a keto diet. Like I said, fat has 9 calories per gram. This doesn't mean that you should go on a Dean Ornish diet and completely banish fat from your diet. I'm not saying that at all. I'm saying a diet of 20 to 30% fat is perfectly reasonable for most people. Personally, I lose weight best on a low-fat diet. Why? Because I do well on high-carb diets, and also because when I eat a lot of carbohydrates and protein, I'm not eating a lot of fat, which is very dense in calories. It's also much harder to overconsume unprocessed carbohydrates like fruits and vegetables and whole grains because they're lower in energy density. You're not going to lose weight eating butter by the stick, and you're not going to lose weight eating cheese by the pound either. Yes, it is all about calories when it comes to weight management. I know people like Gary Taubes and Robert Lustig would argue otherwise, but really it's about calories. My next point is you can become fat adapted, but it takes a long time, and why would you want to do that? Your body is running just fine on carbohydrates. Why deny your brain and your body what it really wants? It's much easier to convert glucose from carbohydrates than it is to convert dietary fat into ketones. Your brain isn't designed to run on ketones. Yes, it can run on ketones, but why would you want to do that? If you look at the majority of endurance athletes like runners, triathletes, etc., most of them consume high carb diets. One study showed that professional cyclists were consuming 62% carbohydrates and only about 17 or 18% fat. And they're the leanest athletes I've ever seen. Tim Noakes notwithstanding, I don't know any endurance athletes who eat a keto diet. Yes, I know there was that Jeff Volek study from a few years ago that showed that endurance athletes who adopted a low-carb diet did just as well as the ones on a high-carb diet, but it took them months to adapt to that diet. And what's the point? Most sports drinks and gels and energy bars consume a lot of carbohydrates. What are you going to do? Eat beef jerky on the bike? Like I said, eating a high-fat diet is super inconvenient, and it doesn't work for most of us. My next point is keto diets have never sustained civilization. I've made this point in previous videos, but it's whole grains like wheat, barley, potatoes, which is not a grain, but it's a starch, and rice have been the fuel of every major civilization. There's not been a single civilization that has adopted a high-fat diet, probably because we have an inborn predilection for carbohydrates. Humans have enzymes in their digestive tract, even in their mouths, that are designed to break down carbohydrates and convert them into glucose and into stored body fat. That tells me that we are designed to consume carbohydrates, not large amounts of fat. You can talk to me all you want about some tribe in Africa or the Inuit in Greenland who eat seal blubber, but neither of those groups have had a major impact on world history. Without cultivated grains and starches, there would be no civilization. Just keep that in mind. My next point is keto diets suck for muscle building. Studies have shown that muscle builders and bodybuilders, whatever you want to call them, who adopt keto diets have a hard time building muscle mass and keeping the muscle mass. You need protein and you need carbohydrates. If you're trying to get stronger and you're looking for gains, or you're looking to increase the girth or the size of your muscles, you need carbs and you need protein. Yes, you need fat in there. Fat plays an essential role in every diet, but eating a diet of 70 to 80% fat is absolutely ridiculous, and you will not get as strong in the gym as you would if you had carbohydrates and protein in your diet. If you're building muscle, you're athletic, or you're moderately active, you should be getting at least 100 carbs a day. Personally, I eat between 300 and 400 carbs a day, and I haven't noticed any effect on my body composition. Neither have 1 or 2 billion Asians who consume rice by the pound. Billions of people, in fact most people in history, have consumed diets high in starches and high in carbohydrates. They're cheap, they're plentiful, they're easy to grow, and they're very easy to consume. Our bodies are naturally adapted for carbohydrates. Deal with it. Even 100 carbs a day is pretty low, but at least eat those carbs to fuel your athletic events, or eat those carbs after you go to the gym so you can build some muscle. Pure fat diets are horrible for muscle building, and they're horrible for athletes. In summary, most people don't need to do a keto diet. In fact, I argue that unless you're a cancer patient, you probably shouldn't do the keto diet at all. Most people adopt a keto diet because the foods that they're over-consuming or overeating contain lots of carbohydrates. It's the cookies, it's the pasta, it's the ice cream, etc. But it's not carbohydrates that are inherently fattening. Overeating is what's making you fat. If you're overeating, then cut out the foods that you are overeating. Trust me, you're not going to overeat sweet potatoes and barley. It's easy to overconsume processed carbohydrates, and I'm not arguing that you should eat a diet that's high in processed carbohydrates. Whole unprocessed carbohydrates, fruits, vegetables should make up the majority of your diet. Some animal protein, some dairy, some red meat, some seafood should give you all the protein and the fat that you need. Like I've said in previous videos, a diet that's about 50% carbohydrates works for the majority of people. If you're trying to lose weight, why don't you just cut out the most processed carbohydrates and leave everything else? You don't need to go to extremes like the keto diet to lose weight, eat right, and get fit. Okay, I hope you found this video educational and entertaining at the same time. If you're dealing with binge eating, overeating, or you want more control over what you eat, then head to my website, saneaters.com. I have a free 5-day challenge just for you. If you do that challenge, you'll stop overeating in 5 days. If you want to speak with me personally, there is a link in the description box below. This video would not be possible without Focus Me. Focus Me is one of my favorite apps. I've been using it since 2015 when I had to study for my board exam. Without Focus Me, I might not have passed my board exam. With Focus Me, you can block any app or any website for any period of time that you want. That keeps me focused and productive. If you're a busy entrepreneur or professional and you need the focus for extended periods of time, then I can't recommend this app enough. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. And don't do keto.